Ever felt like a tiny spark, a snarky comment, a frustrating delay, or just life's chaos can ignite a wildfire of anger inside you? You're not alone. But what if you could stay calm, no matter what the world throws at you? Welcome to Zenlight 8, where today, we're unlocking 12 Stoic secrets to master your emotions and live with unshakable peace. Stick around, because these ancient principles will change the way you face every challenge. Starting right now, dance with the river of life. Imagine standing at the edge of a rushing river, its current wild and untamed, pulling everything in its path. Your instinct might be to dig your heels in, to fight the flow, to demand it bend to your will. But what happens? The river doesn't stop. It crashes over you, leaving you soaked, exhausted, and frustrated. Now picture this instead. You step into the water, not to resist, but to move with it. You let the current guide you, trusting it to carry you where you need to go. This, my friend, is the art of flowing with life. A secret the Stoics mastered centuries ago, and one you can embrace today to keep anger at bay and find peace in the chaos. Life is that river. It's unpredictable, sometimes gentle, sometimes ferocious, but always moving forward. When things don't go your way, a missed deadline, a canceled plan, or an unexpected detour, it's easy to clench your fists and let anger bubble up. You might think, this shouldn't be happening. But here's the truth. Fighting what you can't control doesn't change the river's course. It only drowns you in frustration. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, understood this deeply. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, not as a call to surrender, but as an invitation to dance with life's rhythm." Acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's choosing to save your energy for what you can shape, rather than wasting it on what you can't. Think about a time you were stuck in traffic, late for something important. Your heart races, your hands grip the wheel, and you're fuming at every car in your way. What if, instead, you took a deep breath and saw the moment for what it was? A pause, not a punishment. Maybe you'd notice the song playing on the radio, one you haven't heard in years, or use the time to think about someone you love. That shift doesn't just calm you. It transforms the moment into something meaningful. Flowing with life means seeing every obstacle as a chance to grow, to adapt, to find beauty in the unexpected. It's like a jazz musician who misses a note, but weaves it into the melody, turning a mistake into magic. This isn't about giving up your dreams or settling for less. It's about trusting that the river knows its way, even when you can't see the destination. Studies in psychology, like those from the Greater Good Science Center, show that embracing adaptability reduces stress and boosts resilience. When you stop fighting the current, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're choosing peace over panic, clarity over chaos. So, next time life throws you a curveball, don't brace for impact. Step into the flow, let go of resistance, and watch how the world feels lighter. And speaking of lightening your load, what if the next step isn't just about flowing with life, but about letting go of the urge to judge others? That's where we're headed next, because true calm comes when you stop pointing the finger outward and start looking within. Lay down the pointing finger. You're walking through life, and it's so easy to slip into the role of a detective, isn't it? Not the cool kind with a trench coat and a knack for solving mysteries, but a chaos detective, armed with a giant, imaginary foam finger, ready to point out every flaw you spot. That driver who cut you off? Guilty. The coworker who missed a deadline? Sloppy. The friend who forgot to text back? Selfish. Every time you aim that finger, it feels like you're taking control, like you're setting the world straight. But let's pause for a second and be honest. Does pointing at everyone else's mistakes make you feel lighter? Or does it weigh you down, like you're hauling around a backpack stuffed with rocks you've collected along the way? The Stoics, like Seneca, saw this trap clearly. He once wrote, "It's not events that disturb people, but their judgments about them. That's the key, my friend. It's not what others do. It's the story you tell yourself about their actions. When you point that finger, you're not just judging them, you're chaining yourself to frustration. You're spending your energy scanning for flaws instead of building something beautiful in your own life. Imagine you're at a coffee shop, and the barista gets your order wrong. Your foam finger twitches, ready to label them careless. But what if you knew they just worked a double shift, juggling a dozen orders while worrying about a sick kid at home? Suddenly, that finger lowers, doesn't it? That's the magic of empathy. It doesn't just soften your judgment. It frees you from the need to judge at all. Empathy isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about recognizing that everyone's carrying their own invisible struggles, just like you are. Science backs this up. Studies from the University of California show that practicing empathy reduces stress and fosters connection, even in tense moments. Think about the last time someone snapped at you. Maybe your instinct was to snap back, to point out their rudeness. But what if you asked yourself, what's going on with them? Maybe they're dealing with a loss, a fear, or a bad day that's got nothing to do with you. That simple question shifts the spotlight from their mistake to their humanity. And when you see their humanity, your anger starts to fade, like fog burning off in the morning sun. Here's a story to bring it home. My friend Lisa used to get furious at her neighbor, Tom, for blasting music late at night. She'd lie awake, her foam finger waving wildly in her mind, calling him inconsiderate, rude, you name it. One day, fed up, she marched over to confront him. But instead of a fight, Tom opened up. He'd been playing music to cope with loneliness after a tough breakup. Lisa's anger melted. She didn't just stop pointing the finger. She started checking in on him. That small shift didn't just calm her nights. It built a friendship. That's the power of putting the finger down. You're not letting others off the hook. You're unhooking yourself from resentment. So how do you do it? Start small. Next time you feel that urge to judge, pause and ask, what don't I know about this person? Then find one thing, just one, that you can appreciate about them. Maybe that lazy coworker always shares their snacks, or that rude cashier has a warm smile when you catch them on a good day. It's like watering a plant instead of stomping on it. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. The world feels less hostile, and your heart feels lighter. You're not carrying those rocks anymore. But what happens when someone's anger feels like it's aimed right at you? That's where we're going next, because their storm doesn't have to become yours. Their storm, not your shelter. Picture this. You're walking through a park on a crisp autumn day, the leaves crunching under your feet, the air cool and refreshing. Everything feels right, until someone storms past, hurling a sharp comment your way. Maybe it's a coworker muttering, "Nice job slacking off again," or a family member sneering, "You're always too busy for us." That sting hits like a gust of wind, and before you know it, your chest tightens, your mood darkens, and you're carrying their words like a weight you didn't ask for. Sound familiar? It's so easy to pick up someone else's anger, to let it sink into your skin and ruin your day. But here's a truth the Stoics held close. Their anger isn't your burden. You don't have to be their shelter in the storm. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Notice what's missing there? There's no room for carrying someone else's emotional baggage. When someone lashes out, it's tempting to take it personally, to replay their words and wonder, what did I do wrong? But more often than not, their outburst isn't about you. It's a reflection of their own inner chaos. Psychologists call this projection, and studies, like those from the American Psychological Association, show that people often direct their frustrations outward when they're wrestling with their own insecurities or pain. That snarky coworker? They might be stressed about a deadline they're behind on. That critical family member? They could be grappling with regrets they can't voice. Their storm is real, but it's not yours to weather. Let me tell you about my friend Jake. He used to dread family gatherings because his uncle would always take jabs at him, little digs about his job, his choices, even his haircut. Jake would leave those dinners fuming, replaying every word, letting it sour his whole week. One day, he decided to try something different. When his uncle made another comment, "Still chasing that dead-end dream, huh?" Jake paused. Instead of biting back, he asked himself, what's going on with him? Later, he learned his uncle had been laid off and was struggling to feel relevant. That jab wasn't about Jake. It was his uncle's way of coping with his own fears. That realization didn't erase the hurt, but it gave Jake a choice. He could carry the anger or let it go. He chose to let it go, and it was like dropping a heavy coat he'd been wearing too long. So how do you stop being a shelter for someone else's storm? First, when someone's negativity hits, take a mental step back. Imagine their words as raindrops sliding off an umbrella. You see them, but they don't soak you. Ask yourself, is this about me, or is it about them? 9 times out of 10, it's their battle, not yours. Next, anchor yourself in something positive. Think of 2 things you love about your life right now. Maybe it's your morning coffee ritual or the way your dog greets you at the door. Those reminders ground you, keeping their storm from pulling you under. Finally, set a boundary, even if it's just in your mind. Tell yourself, I won't carry this. It's like refusing a package you didn't order. You don't have to sign for it. This isn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything's fine. It's about protecting your peace, about choosing not to let someone else's chaos define your day. When you learn to let their anger pass through you, like wine through the trees, you're not just staying calm, you're claiming your power. You're saying, my peace matters more than your storm. And what happens when the storm isn't coming from others, but from the pressure you put on yourself? That's where we're headed next, because sometimes the heaviest burdens are the ones we create in our own minds. Embrace the beauty of imperfection. Have you ever chased something so perfect? A flawless day, a spotless presentation, a picture-perfect moment, only to watch it slip through your fingers? Maybe you spent hours crafting an email, rereading every word, but still found a typo after hitting send. Or perhaps you planned a family picnic down to the last detail, only for rain to wash it all away. That sinking feeling, that flare of anger at yourself or the world for not measuring up. It's exhausting, isn't it? But what if I told you that perfection isn't the treasure you think it is? What if the real magic lies in embracing life's cracks and quirks, just as they are? The Stoics, like Epictetus, knew the secret well. He said, don't seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will flow smoothly. That's not a call to settle. It's a challenge to see beauty in the messy, unpredictable reality of life. Think of a handmade pottery bowl. Its uneven edges, the slight wobble in its shape. Those imperfections don't make it less valuable. They make it unique, a story told in clay. Life's the same way. When you stop demanding perfection, you start noticing the charm in the unexpected, the growth hidden in the flaws. Let me share a story. My friend Sarah used to lose it over the smallest mistakes. One time, she baked a cake for her daughter's birthday, dreaming of a Pinterest-worthy masterpiece. But the frosting melted, the layers slid, and it looked more like an abstract sculpture than a cake. She was furious at herself, at the recipe, at the oven. But then her daughter ran in, eyes wide, and squealed, "Mom, it's the coolest cake ever." Sarah laughed through her frustration, and that moment became one of their favorite memories. That lopsided cake wasn't perfect, but it was perfect for them. Research from the Journal of Positive Psychology supports this. Accepting imperfections boosts happiness and reduces stress, because you're not fighting an unwinnable battle. Chasing perfection doesn't just tire you out, it blinds you to what's already good. Imagine you're at a concert and the band misses a beat. Do you storm out, fuming that it wasn't flawless? Or do you keep dancing, caught up in the energy of the moment? Life's like that concert. Sometimes it's off-key, but it's still worth singing along. So how do you let go of that perfectionist grip? Try this. When something goes wrong, ask, will this matter in a week? A month? Most times, the answer's no, and that perspective shrinks your frustration to size. Then celebrate the small wins. Did your presentation have a glitch? Focus on how you still connected with the audience. Did dinner burn? Laugh about the takeout you got to enjoy instead. Every imperfection is a chance to practice grace with yourself and the world. Embracing imperfection isn't giving up on excellence. It's choosing to love the journey, bumps and all. When you stop raging against life's cracks, you start seeing them as places where the light gets in. You're not perfect, my friend, and that's not a flaw. It's your strength. It's what makes you human, and there's nothing more beautiful than that. But what about when the anger isn't about a missed mark, but something deeper, like the emotions swirling inside you. That's where we're headed next, because true peace comes when you learn to steer your own heart. Captain of your emotions. You're sitting in a quiet moment, maybe scrolling through your phone or sipping coffee, when something shifts. A text pops up, someone canceled plans last minute, or you overhear a coworker's offhand remark that stings more than it should. Suddenly, your chest tightens, your thoughts race, and a wave of irritation crashes over you. It's like you've been hijacked, yanked from calm to chaos in seconds. Sound familiar? We've all been there, caught in the grip of emotions that feel bigger than us. But here's a game changer the Stoics leaned into hard. You're not a passenger in your feelings, you're the captain. You get to choose how to sail through them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That's not just poetic, it's practical. Your emotions aren't caused by what happens around you. They're shaped by how you interpret it. That canceled plan? It's not the cancellation making you mad. It's the story you're telling yourself, "They don't care about me." That coworker's comment? It's not their words. It's the meaning you give them. "I'm not good enough." The power lies in recognizing that those stories are yours to rewrite. Studies in cognitive behavioral therapy, like those published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, show that reframing thoughts can reduce emotional distress. When you own your emotions, you're not at the mercy of the world, you're in command. Let's paint a picture. My friend Mike used to flare up at the smallest things. A long line at the grocery store, a slow internet connection, you name it. He'd grumble, "Why does this always happen to me?" One day, after a particularly bad morning, he called me fed up. I asked him, "What if you told yourself a different story? What if the line's a chance to chill, not a curse?" He tried it grudgingly at first. Next time he was stuck waiting, he pulled out his phone, listened to a podcast, and realized he felt fine. That shift didn't change the weight, it changed him. He wasn't just reacting anymore, he was choosing. So how do you take the helm of your emotions? First, name what you're feeling. Sounds simple, but it's huge. When anger bubbles up, say to yourself, "I'm frustrated because..." That pause pulls you out of autopilot. Next, challenge the story. If you're mad because someone cut you off in traffic, ask, "Is this worth my peace? Am I assuming they meant to ruin my day?" Spoiler, they probably didn't. Then, act from clarity, not heat. Take 5 deep breaths. Science says it calms your nervous system, and decide how to respond. Maybe you let it go. Maybe you speak up, but calmly. Either way, it's your call, not your emotions' call. Owning your emotions doesn't mean you never feel angry or hurt. It means you don't let those feelings steer the ship. You're the captain, charting a course through life's storms with steady hands. When you take responsibility for how you feel, you're not just staying calm. You're building a life where peace is your default, no matter what waves come your way. And what happens when those waves hit fast, tempting you to lash out before you think? That's where we're going next, because the real test of calm is learning to pause before you leap. Tame the spark before it burns. You know that moment when something hits you just wrong, like a snappy email from a coworker or a friend's careless remark, and it's like a match striking inside you? Your heart races, your words sharpen, and before you know it, you're firing back, ready to let the world feel your heat. 5 seconds later, regret creeps in. Why did I say that? You think, as the fallout lingers like smoke. We've all been there, caught in the grip of that first impulse, acting before thinking, only to wish we could hit rewind. The Stoics, though, had a trick up their sleeve for moments like these, and it's simpler than you might imagine. Pause. That tiny space between spark and flame is where your power lies. Seneca nailed it when he said, "The best remedy for anger is delay." He wasn't talking about bottling things up or ignoring your feelings. He meant giving yourself a beat to breathe, to let the heat cool before it sets everything ablaze. That pause isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's like being a firefighter who spots a small flame and douses it before it engulfs the whole forest. Science agrees. Research from the Journal of Behavioral Medicine shows that even a brief pause, like counting to 10, lowers your heart rate and cuts the intensity of emotional reactions. That moment of delay lets you choose clarity over chaos, response over reflex. Picture this. You're in a meeting, pouring your heart into a project pitch. When a colleague cuts in with, "We've done this before," and it flopped, your first impulse? Snap back with something like, "Maybe because you didn't try hard enough." But imagine instead you take a breath, let the sting settle, and ask yourself, "Is this worth a fight?" Maybe you respond with, "Good point. Let's talk about how we can make it work this time." That shift doesn't just save the moment, it saves your peace. I saw this play out with my buddy Alex, who used to have a hair-trigger temper. One day, his roommate left dishes piled in the sink. Again. Alex was ready to storm in and let loose, but he tried something new. He stepped outside, counted backward from 10, and pictured himself laughing it off. When he went back in, he calmly asked his roommate to chip in. No yelling, no drama, just a solution. That pause turned a potential blow-up into a win. So how do you tame that spark? First, make breathing your secret weapon. When you feel that urge to react, take 3 slow, deep breaths. It's like hitting the brakes on a speeding car. Everything slows down, and you're back in control. Next, zoom out. Picture the situation from above like you're watching a movie. Ask, how big is this really? Most times, it's smaller than it feels. If you need extra help, try the 5-object trick. Spot 5 things around you. A chair, a pen, a window, and name them. It pulls your mind away from the heat and into the present. These tools aren't just tricks. They're your shield, keeping you steady when the world tries to knock you off balance. Taming your first impulse doesn't mean silencing your voice. It means making sure your voice reflects who you are, not just how you feel in a split second. When you master that pause, you're not just avoiding regret. You're building a life where calm calls the shots. And sometimes, that calm leads to something even deeper, like letting go of the pain others cause you. That's where we're headed next, because true freedom comes when you learn to forgive, even when it hurts. Forgive to set yourself free. Forgiveness sounds like a soft word, doesn't it? Like something warm and easy, a gift you hand out with a smile. But let's be real. Sometimes forgiveness feels like trying to lift a boulder off your chest. When someone betrays you, lies to you, or cuts you deep with words, the last thing you want to do is let them off the hook. You might think holding on to that anger gives you power, like it's a shield against being hurt again. But here's the truth the Stoics knew, and it's one that can change everything. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about dropping that boulder, not for their sake, but so you can walk free. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The best revenge is to not be like the one who hurt you. That's not just philosophy, it's a lifeline. When you carry resentment, it's like clutching a sack of hot coals, thinking you're punishing someone else. But who's really burning? You are. Every time you replay that argument, that betrayal, that moment someone let you down, you're letting their actions define your peace. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying what they did was okay. It doesn't mean forgetting or inviting them back for round 2. It means refusing to let their choices chain you to pain any longer. I'll never forget my friend Maria's story. She had a falling out with her sister over something that felt unforgivable. A secret shared behind her back, trust shattered in a way that left her reeling. For months, Maria was angry, avoiding calls, stewing in hurt. But one day, she realized the anger wasn't hurting her sister. It was eating her alive. She couldn't sleep, couldn't focus, couldn't enjoy the things she loved. So she tried something radical. She wrote her sister a letter, not to send, but to release. She poured out every ounce of pain, then tore it up. That act, simple as it was, felt like exhaling after holding her breath too long. She didn't excuse her sister's actions, but she chose to let go of the weight. Over time, they rebuilt their relationship, but the real victory was Maria's. She'd freed herself. Science backs this up. Studies from the Mayo Clinic show that forgiveness reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and even improves mental health. It's like unclenching a fist you didn't realize you were holding. So how do you forgive when it feels impossible? Start with a mantra. This doesn't own my peace. Repeat it when the hurt creeps back in. It's a reminder that you're in charge. Then try writing it out. Grab a notebook and let every raw feeling spill onto the page. Don't judge it, just write. When you're done, destroy it. Burn it, shred it, toss it in the trash. That act of release is physical proof you're letting go. Finally, shift your focus. Think of one thing you're grateful for, even in the pain. Maybe it's the strength you've gained or the people who've stood by you. Gratitude doesn't erase the hurt, but it makes it lighter. Forgiveness isn't a one-time deal. Some days you'll have to choose it again. But every time you do, you're cutting another chain, stepping closer to freedom. You're not forgiving to make them feel better. You're doing it to make sure you keep shining, no matter what they threw at you. That's the Stoic way, and it's your way too. But what about when life itself feels like it's throwing punches? When the challenges pile up and test your calm? That's where we're going next, because even in the toughest moments, there's a way to find light in the dark. Uncover the silver lining. Life can feel like a storm sometimes, can't it? One minute you're cruising along, the sun warm on your face, and the next, dark clouds roll in. A flat tire, a missed opportunity, or a plan that falls apart. Your first instinct might be to clench your jaw, to let frustration take the wheel and steer you straight into anger. But what if, even in the messiest moments, there's a glimmer of something good waiting for you to notice? The Stoics called this finding the silver lining, and it's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about training your eyes to spot the light, no matter how faint, in the middle of the storm. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him." That's a powerful truth. Tough times aren't here to break you. They're here to show you what you're made of. Think of a diamond. It's born under crushing pressure, transformed from rough carbon into something that sparkles. Your challenges are like that pressure, shaping you, teaching you, giving you a chance to shine. It's not always easy to see it in the moment, but every setback carries a lesson, a gift, if you're willing to look. Research from the Greater Good Science Center shows that people who seek positives in adversity, like learning patience or discovering resilience, report lower stress and higher life satisfaction. That's the silver lining at work, turning pain into progress. Let me tell you about my friend Tara. She'd planned a big outdoor wedding, every detail mapped out. Flowers, music, the works. But on the big day, a freak storm hit. Tents collapsed, guests huddled under umbrellas, and her dream day looked like a washout. She could have raged at the sky, but instead, she laughed. "Well," she said, "at least we'll never forget this." They moved the party indoors, danced in soggy shoes, and shared stories that became legend. Years later, she doesn't talk about the rain. She talks about the joy, the way everyone came together. That storm didn't ruin her day. It made it unforgettable. That's what happens when you hunt for the good, even when life feels unfair. So how do you find that silver lining when everything's going wrong? Start with humor. It's your secret weapon. Next time you're stuck in a downpour, literal or figurative, crack a smile and say, "This is going to make a great story." It's like flipping a switch. Suddenly, the moment feels less heavy. Then, ask yourself, what's one thing I can learn here? Maybe a delayed flight teaches you to savor a quiet moment with a book, or a work mistake shows you a better way forward. Finally, look for the unexpected wins. A canceled plan might lead to a cozy night in, or a tough conversation could spark a deeper connection. These aren't just consolations. They're treasures hidden in the rough. Finding the silver lining doesn't mean ignoring the hurt or glossing over reality. It's about choosing to see the possibility in every challenge, to let hope guide you instead of anger. When you train yourself to spot the light, no storm can dim your spirit. You're not just surviving, you're growing, shining brighter with every lesson learned. But what happens when the storm feels heavier because you've set the bar too high for yourself or others? That's where we're headed next, because sometimes the key to peace is letting go of expectations that weigh you down. Lower expectations lift your peace. You've probably had one of those days, you know the kind. You're craving your favorite burger, picturing that perfect bun, melty cheese, and fries just crispy enough. You pull into the drive-thru, buzzing with anticipation, only to open the bag and find a soggy sandwich, cold fries, and the wrong sauce. Your heart sinks, and suddenly you're not just disappointed, you're mad. Sound familiar? It's not really about the burger, though, is it? It's about the gap between what you expected and what you got. That gap is where frustration lives, and the Stoics had a simple fix. Lower your expectations and watch your peace soar. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Today I shall meet ungrateful, deceitful, and selfish people. And this happens because they do not know what is good or evil." He wasn't being cynical, he was being practical. People aren't perfect, plans go sideways, and life doesn't always deliver the fairy tale you imagined. When you expect everything to go flawlessly, you're setting yourself up for a fall. But when you loosen that grip, when you let go of the need for things to be just so, you create space for calm. Studies in psychology, like those from the University of Michigan, show that unrealistic expectations fuel stress and anger, while flexibility fosters resilience. It's like swapping a tightrope for a wide, open path. You're less likely to stumble. Take my friend Sam, for example. He used to plan every family vacation like a military operation, schedules, reservations, the works. Last summer, he had a beach trip locked in, but everything went wrong. The hotel lost their booking, the weather turned stormy, and his kids bickered nonstop. He was ready to call it a disaster, but then he tried something new. He ditched the itinerary, grabbed some board games, and let the day unfold. They ended up laughing through a rainy afternoon, finding a quirky diner, and stumbling on a lighthouse none of them knew existed. By expecting less, Sam found more joy, more connection, more peace. So how do you lower expectations without lowering your standards? First, play the what-if game. Before a big moment like a date or a work meeting, imagine the worst-case scenario. If it's not catastrophic, spoiler, it rarely is, you'll feel lighter going in. If the date's awkward, you'll survive. If the meeting's a flop, you'll learn. This trick shrinks the stakes and softens disappointment. Next, set flexible goals. Instead of demanding a perfect night out, aim to enjoy the vibe, whatever happens. That openness lets you roll with the punches. Finally, leave room for surprises. Life's funny. Sometimes the best moments come when you least expect them. Like a random chat with a stranger or a quiet sunset you didn't plan for. Lowering expectations doesn't mean settling for mediocrity. It means trusting that life's beauty doesn't need to be perfect to be real. When you stop chasing an impossible ideal, you stop tripping over disappointment. You start seeing the world as it is. Messy, unpredictable, and full of possibilities. That's where peace lives, my friend, and it's yours to claim. But what about when the pressure isn't from the world outside, but from the voice inside your head? That's where we're headed next, because the way you talk to yourself shapes everything. Be your own biggest cheerleader. Picture this. There's a tiny version of you perched on your shoulder, watching every move you make. But instead of cheering you on, this mini you's got a megaphone, blaring criticism at every turn. Really? That's the best you could do? It sneers when you stumble over a presentation. You're such a mess. It jabs when you forget a deadline. Sound familiar? That inner critic can be relentless, turning every misstep into a reason to feel small. But what if you fired that critic and hired a new voice? One that lifts you up, like a best friend who's always in your corner. The Stoics knew this shift could change everything, and it's the key to building confidence and inner peace that no mistake can shake. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free," and part of that bravery is treating yourself with the kindness you'd offer someone you love. Think about it. If your best friend spilled coffee on their shirt before a big meeting, would you say, "Wow, you're hopeless"? Of course not. You'd grab a napkin, crack a joke, and remind them they've got this. Yet we're often so quick to tear ourselves down. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff, a pioneer in self-compassion, shows that speaking to yourself with kindness reduces anxiety and boosts resilience. It's like swapping out a storm cloud for sunshine. You feel lighter, stronger, ready to face whatever comes. Let me tell you about my friend Dana. She used to beat herself up over everything. Her work wasn't creative enough, her house wasn't tidy enough, her yoga poses weren't bendy enough. One day, after a rough week, she caught herself in a spiral, muttering, "I'm such a failure." Something clicked. She asked, "Would I say this to my sister?" The answer was a hard no. So she tried an experiment. For one day, she talked to herself like she'd talk to her sister. When she missed a workout, She said, "It's okay. You'll get back to it tomorrow." When a client passed on her pitch, she told herself, "You gave it your all, and that's enough." By the end of the day, she felt different. Not perfect, but proud. That small shift turned her inner critic into her biggest cheerleader. So how do you become your own best friend? First, reframe the flubs. Next time you mess up, say you burn dinner or fumble a conversation, imagine you're telling a friend, "No big deal, you've got this." It's like giving yourself a high five instead of a slap. Then keep a win journal. Every day, jot down one thing you did well, no matter how small. Maybe you made someone smile or tackled a tough email. It's like collecting gold stars, reminding you that you're always growing. Finally, speak out loud. When you're stressed, say, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough." Hearing it makes it real, like a pep talk from the person who knows you best. You. Being your own cheerleader doesn't mean ignoring your flaws. It means seeing them as part of the incredible, imperfect person you are. When you trade criticism for kindness, you're not just staying calm. You're building a foundation of confidence that nothing can crack. You're telling yourself, "I'm enough." And that's the kind of strength that carries you forward. But what happens when life feels so heavy that even kindness to yourself feels out of reach? That's where we're headed next, because even in the darkest moments, there's a simple practice that can light the way. Find gratitude even in the grit. Some days, life hands you a rough deal. Maybe you're slogging through a week where everything's gone wrong. Your car breaks down, work piles up, and even your coffee order gets botched. It's easy to sink into a funk, to focus on what's missing or broken, letting irritation take over like an uninvited guest. But what if, even in those gritty moments, you could find something to hold on to, something to pull you back to peace? The Stoics had a practice for this, one that's like a lifeline when the world feels heavy. Gratitude. Not the big, flashy kind, but the quiet, stubborn kind that finds beauty in the smallest things, no matter how tough the day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." That wasn't just a feel-good quote. He was reminding himself to stay grounded, even while ruling an empire through wars and chaos. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the bad stuff. It's about choosing to see the good, even when it's just a flicker. Science backs this up. Studies by Robert Emmons, a gratitude expert, show that practicing gratitude lowers stress, improves sleep, and even strengthens your immune system. It's like tuning a radio to a clearer station. Suddenly, the static of anger fades, and you hear the music of what's still good. I'll never forget a day my friend Leo had. He just lost a big client. His dog was sick, and to top it off, he locked himself out of his apartment. He was ready to write the day off as a total loss, but as he sat on his stoop, waiting for a locksmith, he noticed a kid across the street, giggling as he chased a butterfly. It hit him. Even in his lousy moment, that laugh was a gift. He started listing other things: his health, the crisp fall air, the fact that he had a home to get locked out of. By the time the locksmith showed up, Leo wasn't just calmer, he was smiling. That shift didn't fix his problems, but it changed how he carried them. So how do you find gratitude when life's kicking you down? Start tiny. Each morning, pick one thing to say thank you for. Maybe it's the warmth of your blanket or the smell of rain outside. It's like planting a seed that grows through the day. Then try a gratitude snapshot. At night, write down 3 things that went right, even if they're small, like a kind word from a coworker or a song that lifted your mood. Over a week, you'll see how those moments add up, like pennies in a jar. If it's really tough, look outward. Notice someone else's joy, a stranger's smile, a dog wagging its tail, and let it remind you that goodness is still out there. Gratitude doesn't erase the grit. It helps you walk through it with a steadier step. It's a choice to focus on what's whole, not what's broken. And that choice builds a peace that anger can't touch. When you learn to be grateful, even in the hard moments, you're not just surviving, you're thriving, finding light in places you never thought to look. And what if you could take that light and make it your superpower, something that carries you through any storm? That's where we're headed next, because calm isn't just a feeling. It's a strength you can wield. Make calm your superpower. Imagine you're standing in the eye of a hurricane. All around you, the world is roaring. Deadlines piling up, voices clashing, notifications buzzing like a swarm of bees. Most people get swept away, tossed by the chaos, their peace shredded in the wind. But not you. You stand steady, breathing slow, your heart quiet, your mind clear. That's not just a nice idea. It's a superpower. The Stoics knew this, and they practiced it like warriors honing a blade. Calm isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build, a strength that lets you face any storm without losing yourself to anger. And my friend, you can make it yours. Epictetus said, "The one who is calm and strong holds the power." He wasn't talking about physical strength or control over others. He meant mastery of yourself. In a world that thrives on noise and reaction, staying composed is rare, like a lighthouse standing firm while waves crash around it. Think about the last time someone pushed your buttons. Maybe a passive-aggressive text like, "Oh, nice of you to finally show up." Your blood boiled, your fingers itched to fire back something sharp. But what if you didn't? What if you paused, took a breath, and chose calm instead? That choice doesn't just defuse the moment. It transforms you. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that practicing mindfulness techniques, like deep breathing, lowers stress hormones and sharpens focus. Calm isn't just a shield. It's a weapon for clarity. Let me tell you about my friend Rachel. She used to spiral at the smallest triggers. A rude driver, a snarky coworker, anything could set her off. One day, stuck in a heated work argument, she felt the familiar heat rising. But instead of snapping, she tried something she'd read about. She slowed her breath, counting each inhale and exhale. Then she spoke, deliberately softer, slower. The room shifted. Her coworker softened too, and what could have been a blowout became a conversation. Rachel didn't just win the moment. She discovered her superpower. That calm wasn't weakness. It was strength, radiating from the inside out. So how do you forge this superpower? First, master your breath. When tension hits, take 3 deep breaths. Slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth. It's like flipping a reset switch on your nervous system. Next, practice the mental step back. When chaos swirls, picture yourself rising above it, like a drone zooming out. Ask, what's really at stake here? Most times, it's less than you think. Finally, slow your speech. In a heated moment, speak as if you're calming a nervous friend. Gentle, deliberate. It not only cools the situation but anchors you, too. These aren't just tricks. They're tools to carve out a space where anger can't take root. Calm doesn't mean you're numb to the world. It means you're awake to it, choosing how to move through it with grace. It's the power to see a storm coming and stand firm. Not because you're untouchable, but because you've learned to bend without breaking. When you make calm your superpower, you're not just surviving life's hurricanes. You're guiding others to shore, too. That's the kind of strength that changes everything. We've walked a long road together, haven't we? From dancing with the river of life to uncovering the light in every challenge. We've built a blueprint for a life where anger doesn't call the shots. Each step, flowing with what comes, letting go of judgment, embracing imperfection, owning your emotions, and forging calm as your superpower, has been a brushstroke on the canvas of your peace. The Stoics didn't just dream of this life. They lived it through wars, betrayals, and chaos, proving that inner strength is the truest victory. Now it's your turn to paint that masterpiece. Life today moves fast, doesn't it? Screens flash, schedules choke, and the world shouts for your reaction, louder, angrier. Now, it's easy to get caught in the rush, to let frustration steer you. But here's my advice for navigating this modern whirlwind. Slow down, even when it feels impossible. Carve out one moment each day to breathe, to notice the world without judging it. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee or the way the light hits your window. That pause isn't just a break. It's a rebellion against chaos, a claim on your peace. And when the world tests you, as it will, remember you're not a leaf in the wind. You're the captain, the artist, the lighthouse. Choose calm, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. This isn't a one-and-done deal. Some days you'll stumble. Anger will creep in, old habits will tug. That's okay. Growth isn't a straight line. It's a spiral circling closer to who you're meant to be. Every time you choose to flow, to forgive, to find gratitude, you're building a life that's not just lived, but loved. So keep practicing, keep choosing, keep shining. The world needs your calm more than you know. If this journey sparks something in you, come join us at ZenLight8 on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and let's keep growing together with more stories, wisdom, and practical tips to live with clarity and peace. Before you go, drop a comment with one word: perspective. It's a nod to the power of seeing life through a clearer lens, and I can't wait to see who's with us on this path. Check out our playlist for more ways to navigate life's ups and downs. Click the link on your screen, and let's keep the journey going. Until next time, take a deep breath and choose your peace.